everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of 10 Minute Tuesday. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. In today's episode, I got the homie Taisha Ferguson in the building. Taisha, what's going on?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate you hopping on 10 Minute Tuesday. I'm glad to get this episode rocking and rolling. So we've done a number of these. So Taisha, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Hi, I'm Taisha. I'm a data and AI cloud solution architect at Microsoft.
Awesome. So understanding that you're at the Microsoft, you're at the big, people want to work there. It's a big conglomerate, but at a certain point you had to get your start. So, what really compelled you to get into data to begin with?
Absolutely. Happy to share. So I would say I started my career undergrad. I majored in something called actuarial science, which is math and statistics you analyze risk primarily for insurance companies. I never went into the field. I graduated from undergrad 2009. I spent a decade doing different things like being a math teacher, yoga instructor. I would call it like my exploratory data analysis. And then in 2018, I went back to school for a master's in data science. And what compelled me, what drove me to do that was my favorite subject in school growing up was math. And so as I explored different jobs and different careers, I always came back to wanting to do something math, statistics based. And so luckily, after the second semester in my master's, I started working in the field as a data analyst. And then I worked as a data science consultant, data engineering consultant, until I got the role I am now as a cloud solution architect, where I help organizations implement data analytics and AI solutions with the Microsoft stack. So it wasn't a linear path. It was, a little bit all over the place. But I will say when I found like the solid data community, I was like, oh, I found my place.
Love that. So one, I didn't know you was a yoga instructor. Like, that's freaking awesome. Like, super cool that you did that. And then I think it's really cool, like how you went back to school and made it all together. I feel like, everybody's path, there's a connection to certain everything that you do, right? It's all aligned for whatever reason and what you're going for. So that's really cool. So with that in mind, thinking about that, right, you didn't always just pop up at Microsoft. You did some things before. You had some jobs that you didn't like. So thinking about your historical component, what's been your least favorite job to date and what did you dislike about it? And these are the questions where in high school, I sold popcorn at a theater or, I did something else. So, think about that. What's been your least favorite job?
Yeah, I really love this question because I've been working for a long time. I've been working since I was 15. So if you ask me, I've had almost every job, like so many jobs you can think of. And I've enjoyed most of them. But my least favorite was working in retail. I love shopping for myself. So the idea of it sounds good. I'm going to get a discount. But the practice of folding clothes and helping other people shop is quite boring. So that'll be my least.
Okay. Yeah. No, my first job I got was at Finish Line, and I was really particular about the t-shirts and using the folding machine to get it up and running. I was really, really particular about having a crisp line about that. So I feel to an extent like you're paying about the retail and folding.
It sounds like you were good at it, and actually I was bad at it.
No, it was just like I was bored, and then I was really wanted it to look clean, and just like I was really particular. But I was awful at selling shoes. Like I didn't care. Like I didn't care about like the metrics and certain things. I just wanted to like get a discount on my shoes. So I was actually awful.
We were there for the same reason, discount.
Awesome. All right. So thinking about our journey, I kind of mentioned this earlier, right? Everything ties together. Everything's aligned. And there's a philosophy I live by is like fail and forward, right? You never really fail. Everything is a learning lesson. So thinking about that, what's been your biggest failure, quotation marks around failure, and what you really learn from that experience in your career?
Yeah, another good question. So first of all, I just recommend failure in general. I failed a lot, a whole lot in many, many different things. As I mentioned, I've tried a bunch of stuff. I would say the biggest one was dropping out of law school. After undergrad, I went to law school and I stayed for about half a semester. So when I left, at the time, now in retrospect, it doesn't seem that big of a deal, but in that specific time and place, everyone around me was like, why would you drop out of law school? But what I learned from it, there's a saying, there's no happy ending to an unhappy journey. And so what I remembered while I was in law school is how much I enjoyed in undergrad, my math classes, and how I would look forward to the next thing. But in law school, I felt overwhelmed and drained. And although I know I could have made it through it, it wouldn't have been a fun journey. And I'm so glad that I made that decision because I'm happy with where I am now. So, yeah.
Love that. Love that. So, bit of a curveball here, but with that, understanding that feeling of like, I knew I did not like this, so I didn't want to spend the rest of my life doing this. Do you find like when you were looking for new roles and kind of just morph into different things that did that feeling always resonate with you? Like, I never want to get back to that feeling, so I always want to do things that make me happy.
Yeah, and happiness, it takes perspective as a balance, but yes, that was just that changed me. There's like certain like moments that really shift your perspective, and that one did. And so in my career, there's been many times that I've been in the data field. There's so many different options, as you know, it's big, and what I often do is I contemplate, because I made that decision to go to law school, and I asked myself, how did I even get there? Obviously, I wasn't paying attention to what I liked. And so that I'll tell you a funny story. The dean of the law school was like, if you don't love to read and write, you're in the wrong place. And when he said that, I was like, you know what? I get anxiety when I write. So, and I was like, why didn't I ask myself this question before I went to law school? Anyone would have told you that in law school, you're going to have to write a lot. But yeah, I said now throughout my career, and on a regular basis, almost now with how fast things are changing, I check in with myself about what aspects of my job excite me and which aspects of my job drain me, because you'll always have a mix. You're not going to love everything about any job. But if I get an opportunity where somebody's like, oh, you can do more of this, I've already identified that that's the part of my job that I don't like. So even if it's a promotion, I'm not going to take that. And when I hear about opportunities, even if it's something that I'm not getting paid for in the thing that I really like, I will do that, because the more that I learn or get opportunities in the things that I like, I'm sure that when I get that job, I will enjoy it. And that's how I've navigated my career after law school in general. It's like, well, I'm only going to move towards things that are going to grow in something that I like, or that I enjoy.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. And I love that. I love that philosophy. Is something that I think I share. When you were talking, like, that resonated with me, because I think there was a piece in my own journey where I would try to achieve every single thing, right? Regardless of the things that I did not enjoy, it doesn't matter, right? It's something for me to try and achieve. And I was just so drained from trying to do that, where it's just like, why don't I just focus on the things I like and growing in that area? And it just became, much easier.
And it seems simple, but it's actually, hard, because we're talking about money too, right? And there'll be significant, like, oh, there's a career advancement if you go down this path. And so it can be challenging, but because I had that strong feeling, and I think most people learn that over time. You start to, as you get further along in your career and as a person, you say, well, these are the things that I'm actually good at. But yeah.
Love that. Love that. All right. So thinking about this, my goal for the podcast, or, what I'm trying to build out, and for the LinkedIn clips, all of it, right? I want to resonate with people who are either just starting out in data, they're trying to pivot into data, or, it's just like, I don't even know what this is. So thinking about that, what is one piece of advice you give someone who's just starting out in their career in data?
Wow. So I'll say two things, just beating down like I'll make one more like philosophical and and one more practical, just honing in on the follow. My yoga teacher would describe it as following the light, like follow what you're interested in. And because data is such a big field. And then second, I would say at Microsoft, and it's still kind of philosophical, but I'll lead to something more practical, is the growth mindset. So it's all about not like they say, know it all, but learn it all culture. Uh, Always focus on learning. And in the data space, there are practical skills that you can learn that will always net you future benefits. And I would say those skills are still math and statistics, foundation, like just basic statistics. If you're doing analytics, programming in SQL, programming in Python, and now, and I think this is for every career, just tuned into generative AI and how that applies to your career, whatever your career is. Figure out how you can utilize that to help you in your learning and how it's being applied in your field. But those are just some practical things. I always think in the data field, it's always going to be good for you to have a basic math, like just not like that far, but good understanding of statistics, especially if you're doing analytics, SQL, data modeling, best practices, those sort of foundational things. They're never going to go. I can't imagine any of that going away.
Yeah. Awesome. I love the follow the light growth mindset, because I think that's what people, I'll say this. I think the people who have a growth mindset are the differentiators, because they're continuously evolving, they're continuously growing, they're continuously, and you're pushing yourself, but you're continuously learning. It's like I've seen people who have gotten a title or some type of recognition or some type of certification, and they just stop there. And, you got to keep evolving, got to keep growing and keep persevering. So I think that's fantastic advice for someone starting out.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Tell me about the most influential people in your life and how they made an impact on you.
Yes, I think the for me, most influential, it's really the people that are the close. When I really think about who I learned from the most, I'm very big on peer mentorship. So for example, like dating back to when I was in middle school and I was in a difficult math class, having a friend to study with and learn with that was learning the same thing with me is what, like, I can pinpoint any point in my life. There was a friend that I work with that if I didn't work with them, I wouldn't have gotten to the next stage of my life. And so it's hard to pick, but I would say, of course, my family, like my grandmothers. And then when I think about it right now in this present moment, it is just my friends, like my coworkers that I work with every day. I talk to them and I ask them, what are you learning? What are you doing? And it's at this point, so many people every day that I check in with. So I guess in general, I would just say a shift from advice that I've heard before. I do believe in mentorship, but sometimes I think there's a lack of focus on finding the people that are closest to you and building a community, and that being your most influential. And it's the same thing. I'm a mom. So my mom friends are who I learn from the most, as opposed to like reading a book on parenting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
Or even someone, I appreciate mothers, but my mother or my grandmother is much different than someone who's navigating, current climates, and we're in it together and we're figuring it out. I like that aspect of it. So I would say my closest friends, and I wish I could list all of them, but I don't know if that would be appropriate. So did I answer your question?
No. Hey, these people influence you, man. So shout out to the community, shout out to the accountability partners, shout out to the moms, all the friends. Shout out to you. Oh yeah, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate that. Nah, you're the homie. So I'm glad that we connected at the Fabric conference, man. It was super cool. I always still talk to Ryan about the conference and like all these futuristic ideas. Like, love Ryan.
Ryan is at the top of the list. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Like you talk to someone like you talk to someone at Ryan, I think, oh, wow, I wouldn't even think about doing this. I wouldn't even think, this is my first time being in a podcast.
Hey, shout out to the first time on the pod.
These are all things that are elevating my experience. And Ryan is a great example. He's 1,000% smarter than me. So every time I have like a little bit of a tidbit of his information, I take it in and I try to apply it pretty quickly. So that's the kind of community that I talk about, is building, and growing with people.
Love it, man. Shout out to Ryan. He all right, man. He ain't 1,000% smarter, man. Can't pump his head up too much. All right, Taisha, where can listeners find you at online?
LinkedIn. That's the only social media I'm on. Eventually, I'm going to make my way to probably like Instagram, but right now, just LinkedIn.
Baby steps. I feel it. All right. So we'll get you on LinkedIn. We're going to get you on a YouTube channel because you got too much stuff in that brain to not share. I'm trying to get everybody to be a content creator at some point. So we'll get you there. Appreciate you joining 10 Minute Tuesday. This was awesome.
Thank you. Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Catch you later.
All right. No problem. Thanks so much. And then, as I said in the beginning, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Have a great day.
Absolutely.